3, 2, 1. I know. We're live. Time for the Coach and Andy show. I think we need some theme music.
We do.
Yeah, we
Seinfeld theme.
Yeah, we need Seinfeld theme. That'll work for us. No superhero nonsense. Yeah, just some Seinfeld stuff. So, as usual, wait for our audience for a minute or two. Hopefully, some of you were already waiting with bated breath. And yeah, we got some topics and some exercise demos and some cool, funky stuff. And of course, as usual, we'll be answering your questions.
Definitely.
All right. So, yeah. So, are we gathering an audience yet, Brian? Slowly but surely. Don't call you Shirley. All right. So yeah, Coach and Andy show. Next week it'll just be me. Andy's off to Vegas for a photo shoot.
Yeah, looking forward to that. It was going to be Dallas originally, but we had to switch it up at the last minute just because of logistics. It was a little bit tougher for me to get to Dallas.
So your diva demands.
Yeah. Well, there's no way I was having an 18-hour flight, so I don't do that.
So next week it'll just be yours truly, kind of like Breakfast with the Coach, but we'll do it in here in the gym, and maybe I'll do some old guy exercises for you, demos. But Andy will be off to Vegas practicing that fitness supermodel stuff that he does. So hopefully he'll come back with some new pictures for us too.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, supposed to be going to the dry lakes or something in Vegas to do some shots. I don't know.
Cool.
That's what I heard. So.
Never heard of it, but it sounds like a nice background. So how we doing? We got enough people to start yakking, Brian?
You bet.
Are we double digits?
Yes, as a matter of fact.
All right, there we go. Love to hear it. All right, so first we want to start off, folks, with a little nutrition biochemistry 101. Doesn't that sound intelligent?
It does.
Wow.
You are intelligent.
So the last thing I wanted to do, folks, was once again talk about exogenous ketones. But I knew this would happen every time I sort of mention supplement du jour and talk about why it can't work. There's always blowback because no one wants to think they wasted their money, and a lot of people want to think they're a lot smarter than me, and that's fine too. So got some comments, some well-meaning comments. First of all, the person writes in, and the same person with these comments, so we thought that would lead to a little nutritional biochemistry for you all, and that you can follow along. We'll keep it real simple. So first thing, a guy writes in after I said exogenous ketones basically save your money. That's not how I got to be a leader in the fitness industry, and it's not how you got to be where you're at in the fitness industry. So the first thing this person says is the second he took them, he felt the results right away. That almost always speaks to a placebo effect, folks. Unless you're taking a sublingual drug or mainlining heroin or something like that, then you're not likely to feel something the minute you took it. All right?
No.
So that speaks to placebo effect. You're feeling what you're telling yourself you should feel, want to feel. But the next more important thing is where nutrition biochemistry comes in. Hopefully people like that joke then. And don't forget, folks, throw us some thumbs and hearts when you sign on board. Facebook likes that. And given that Facebook keeps choking my reach more and more because more people are joining up, it helps if you throw some emoticons across the screen. Just take a look at Andy's body, and that'll make you throw some thumbs up and some hearts and happy faces. So next thing about exogenous ketones, this person said is, and of course it works because all you have to do is check your urine the next day. Wow, well that's informative for me. All you have to do is take exogenous ketones and check your urine the next day, and there's ketones in it. That means it must work, right?
Sounds logical to me, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, here's where a little nutrition knowledge comes in, folks. What do we know about water-soluble vitamins?
They're not stored in the body.
Right, you can't store stuff. So, Andy, if I take 100 milligrams of chewable vitamin B today, what am I likely to find in my urine tomorrow?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say vitamin B.
Okay, and if I take 1,000 milligrams of chewable vitamin C today, what am I likely to find in my urine tomorrow?
I'd have to go with vitamin C again.
Because they're water-soluble elements.
Absolutely.
That can't be stored in the body.
Definitely.
All right. Now, if I was to decide today after being, and I'm just going to go all out, and I eat a whack load of sodium tonight, what am I likely to find in my urine tomorrow?
Is the answer sodium?
The answer is sodium, right? Yeah.
On a roll.
If I sit down and decide for fruit today, I'm just going to have bananas and no apples, no oranges, and I'm just going to sit down to a 6, 8, 10 bananas. What am I likely to find in my urine tomorrow?
Probably potassium.
Probably potassium. And vitamin C. And
yeah.
every other water-soluble element that can't be stored in the body. So, what does this mean then? If I take all these things and they're in my urine tomorrow,
it would be the same color as your tank top, probably.
Well, yeah, that too. Yeah. But what does it signify? Does it signify that these elements are working for me because they're showing up in my urine?
No, it means your body's just getting rid of them, basically.
Because they can't store it.
Yeah.
Same thing with exogenous ketones. So for the person who wrote in, who said, just check your urine the next day, all that means, buddy, is you peed out your exogenous ketones. It doesn't have any effect at all. If I take too much vitamin C or vitamin B, all I'm paying for is more expensive urine. My urine is just suddenly more valuable than someone who eats junk food. So if you want more expensive urine, go ahead and take a lot of water-soluble stuff. But for people who want to write in about exogenous ketones, and it works because just check your urine the next day and there will be ketones in it, is significant of nothing. All right? All you got is more expensive urine. Good. You paid a lot of money to have ketones in your urine. This is the point, folks. When it comes to biochemistry and nutrition, people don't understand beyond the basics. They don't understand retention rates, absorption rates, assimilation rates. They don't understand that often these elements compete with each other for absorption. If I take too much of one element that competes with something else for another element, they're going to compete for absorption. All right? You can't just think that because something is marketed, vitamin C does all these good things, therefore we should take more of it. That's like saying if I want to be a writer, the vowel A is really important, so I should just throw it in all the words I use. All right? That makes no sense, okay? It's the same thing with how your body works. What do we know also about the water-soluble vitamins in terms of when they matter?
Basically, only when you need them. So, yeah.
Only when you don't have enough of them, right?
Yeah.
So, to prevent scurvy, back in the old days, that's the reason we ended up with the word limeys. All right, back in the old days, they used limes and citrus fruits to combat scurvy because there wasn't enough vitamin C in the diet. All right, so you don't feel the effects of something, you feel their absence of it, not their presence, okay? So the fact that someone takes exogenous ketones and says, I felt them right away, that just screams placebo effect, that you felt something within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And secondly, the fact that it's in your urine the next day signifies nothing. It doesn't tell you about absorption rates, retention rates, just water-soluble elements. And as we were going through this, you yourself mentioned something about sodium. What did you want to say about sodium?
Oh, yeah. People that avoid the most sodium, that restrict the most in their diets, generally hold the most water too. So I pretty much put salt on everything, to taste. Nothing, I don't overload anything, but just put it on for flavor. And I never have a problem with water retention.
Because sodium in, sodium out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely.
If you want to stay tight, you eat sodium and drink
to
water.
I've never had to sodium load or deplete or any of that nonsense.
Right.
So.
Hopefully, folks, does that make sense? A little nutrition, biochemistry. I really did not want to title this again, exogenous ketones. I don't want to keep giving negatives attention because it just helps sell the products, and I don't want to do that. But here's the kind of things that marketers use to sell stuff, and it's stuff that's based on nothing. All right? So the fact that there's ketones in your urine the next day is like if I take a whack of vitamin C today or a whack of vitamin B today and it shows up in my urine tomorrow, that has no bearing on how well my body absorbed and retained those elements for use and storage. So that's a little nutrition biochemistry 101. Any comments or questions, Brian?
No, people just checking in from all over the world.
Well, that's good. We like that. Are people following what I just said? Thumbs up if you followed that. Oh, folks, if you understand what I'm saying. All right, so the next time you get someone arguing that exogenous ketones are effective, just check your urine the next day. Get them to chew on some niacin or some vitamin B or something really nasty tasting, and tell them to check their urine for that the next day. Because really, it's a non-argument, it's a non-starter.
Yeah.
Water-soluble elements can't be stored in the body, and then you got to deal with the whole retention and absorption thing. Here's a little secret along nutrition biochemistry lines. People who have maladaptive iron absorption, instead of taking iron sulfate, instead of taking some kind of iron supplement, if you've got iron-induced fatigue, what you do is you cook something with iron in it. If you can get a cast iron skillet, even better, cook with a cast iron skillet. And then if you eat anything containing vitamin C in the same meal as you eat something containing iron, you'll increase iron absorption about 2.5 times normal. These are the checks and balances of nutritional biochemistry, not magic elements of, hey, check your urine. Okay, that doesn't mean anything. And I don't know about you, but I'm not one who really likes checking my urine for much of anything.
No, I just prefer to go and leave it at that.
Yeah, okay. So hopefully that's enough talk about excretion. Let's get into, hopefully you're following that argument. It's important. Spread the word about exogenous ketones and roll your eyes. All right. What do we have for people today? Questions or comments, Brian, before we get in?
No, not yet.
All right, so first, Andy brought up favorite exercise from back in the day. It's on my 6-day hybrid, actually.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we're going to first demo the exercise, all right? Horizontal shrugs, and then we're going to show you a real effective, today's all about supersets. So we're going to show you a few real effective supersets. Andy came up with this one. Horizontal shrugs supersetted with your orthodox normal vertical shrugs, all right? So show us how it's done.
I'm just going to grab the straps.
Grab the straps, yep. So a horizontal shrug, you probably haven't seen. Most people don't do it. It is as it sounds. It's a pretty short range of motion. You want to make sure your arms are definitely in a parallel position. You want to make sure that your elbows stay straight and you don't bend them to pull. But Andy's going to show you. First, just do the horizontal shrug for several reps, and then we'll show them the superset. You okay there, cameraman? Good angle? So again, as always, with back work, we lean into it, and he keeps the arms straight. Look at the parallel position to the floor. Excellent. He's not thinking with too much speed or momentum. And he shrugs it back. You want to do like 10 to 15, even 20. Excellent. Okay, drop it back, and then we'll show them the... So that's a horizontal shrug. Really, really effective. Too many people think the traps are only these muscles.
Yeah.
Right? But the traps actually have a fourplex to them, all right? They look like that. So turn around. So the traps actually go that way, all right? They go like that. So trapezius, block, all right? So that's how your traps actually work, and therefore that's how they actually function. So a lot of people don't do the horizontal shrug. Anything you want to say before we do the superset?
Basically, just it's a constant tension exercise. It's not something that you're going to use heavily loaded. Just nice and smooth, and focus from your shoulders. A lot of people tend to start, they treat it like a row exercise, right? And they try to pull with their arms, but you want to keep your arms straight, and then you're just
excellent
shrugging it back. So
all right, so now for a very effective superset, all right, use the horizontal shrug with the normal vertical shrug. So show them how it's done, brother. And then we'll get to some questions. Any questions or comments, Brian? We got a good audience?
Good audience, but they're quiet today.
All right, well, they're still absorbing our nutritional lesson. All right, so he's leaning into it. All right, there you go. Just do about 10 to 12. Look at that shrug action. That is what a shrug should look like, folks. Not pulling with his arms, not rowing, shrugging. All right, nice short range of motion. You can see it goes all the way down his lats. Boom. All right, now he's just going to step over and grab the dumbbells. Just bring him back over here.
Scott, while he's doing that...
No, he's right here. He's ready. So yeah, just face me. They don't need to see it from there. So now he's going to superset that. Boom. Boom. So you just saw traps working this way, and now they're working horizontally like the formal position. Leans forward, leans into it, shrugs it up, traps to the ears. Excellent. Put him down, bro. So that's a nice superset of horizontal shrugs with vertical shrugs it's all about, in innervation training, it's all about ranges and planes of motion for
Absolutely.
optimal fiber recruitment. Tell them a little bit about the Superset.
A little winded here. Basically, yeah, you're supersetting two different variations of shrugs. They're completely different. Hit the muscle from a completely different plane and range of motion. Definitely, like I said before, the horizontal shrug is all about constant tension and pumping. You're never going to use a heavy load on those. Traditional dumbbell shrugs, you can either do them out in front, as you would with a barbell, or you can use a barbell, or at your side. But just remember to lean into it.
And hang them and bang them.
Any back exercise, that's the trick of the trade. Yeah.
So that's target training the traps, right? Target training the traps with 2 shrug motions done back to back in a superset. Pretty cool stuff. So want to put those back, and we'll move on to something else. I think a comment or a question came in, Brian.
Do you recommend normal vertical shrugs for women?
Sure, why not? Those are one of those exercises that women get the wrong idea about. So how it's placed in a program, how many reps you're going to do, that kind of movement has nice postural effects. And women should think more about posture because it creates that nice illusion. When you see Krista here training and upcoming projects with Krista, one of the things you notice is she's posturally perfect.
Yep.
And that's from training in a lot of exercises that women are afraid to do, right? Deep squats, because they don't want to get a big butt. Actually, that's how you don't get a big butt, is the deep squat, not the shallow squat. Shrugs, things like that. So that was a great question. Good question. What else, Brian?
Is a vertical shrug necessary for people who work 12 hours a day at the office and already have tight upper traps?
Yeah, that's one way of loosening them, actually. We find that a lot. Like one of the ways, I think I've talked about this in previous episodes, one of the things that relieves a lot of my pain and my shoulder arthritis is doing overhead shoulder presses, dumbbell presses, where most people would stay away from them, restrict them, and then they just get tighter around the joint rather than moving that joint. And moving that joint with resistance gives it a lot more mobility. So that's another good question, though. Very, very important. But yeah, I mean, if you're at the office sitting down a lot, then you want to do a lot of posturally effective exercises. Shrugs would definitely fit in there. It's not a must, but it certainly wouldn't be something to avoid, right?
Oh, absolutely, definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
If you had to pick the best glute exercises to superset, what would they be?
Well, that's upcoming in my glute project with Krista. That should be released within the next 2 weeks. But here's the problem when we get these questions every week. Best exercise for this, best exercise for that. There are no best exercises. The magic is in the method. All right? It's where an exercise falls within the overall workout, how it's sequenced for what range and plane of motion, all right, and how that falls within the overall scheme of a program. That's what matters. So you'll see a lot of vogue exercises come and go. Like I remember a few years ago, VMO activation was everything, right?
Yeah.
Now you don't even hear of it anymore.
Barbell hip thrusts, those are the big things right now.
Barbell hip thrusts, yeah. If you want big fatty fat hips, then do some barbell hip thrusts. The project I got coming out with young Krista is for women, glute train at home body weight training. All right, because one of the things we're focusing on with Krista, and you know you're shooting those videos, is tighten and tone, shape and sculpt. Moving away from the whole idea that everything emanates from a bodybuilding world of orientation where it's about how much lifting more. And like we just said, barbell hip thrusts going heavier and heavier is going to build muscle. So unless you want a big ass and a wide waist, why would you do them? Not to mention they're awkward. They hurt the pelvis bone. They're not necessary. You can do that single leg with the other leg extended in the air, single leg glute press from the floor, just as effective, okay? So, and we got that project coming up. So I don't like when people phrase things as best exercises for. There's exercises and exercise combinations that are really effective.
Yeah. I mean, anyone could Google any exercises, and I mean, doesn't mean that it's going to fit well into a program, right? I mean, program design is everything. You could Google whatever exercises, you could, best glute exercises, a list comes up.
Yeah, or even on YouTube.
Anyone that doesn't know anything about exercise could put together workout that makes no sense, right? So
Yeah, yeah, and there's a lot of that we see at the gyms, right?
Oh, absolutely.
People training people with just combinations of exercises that make no sense at all. I saw it today in the gym with personal trainers. I'm just like, why are you putting those exercises together? They make no sense.
And they're personal trainers.
And they're personal trainers. So they don't think about programming. They think about workouts. And within the workouts, they mistakenly think about calorie burning, which we've talked about, which is also mistaken thinking. You should be equally thinking about, or even more thinking about, optimizing metabolism and tissue building. So that's a long answer that went on variance, but that's okay. We like doing that.
The person, Tracy was talking about the most productive ones rather than the best ones.
Well, they're all productive if they're done right. So anything from the plank, straight leg glute raises are good. Floor presses, you can use tubing, you can use, there's all kinds of options, right? Bird dog holds if you want to do some solid holds. Dog on hydrant, those exercises, anything that move the hips laterally.
And Bulgarian split squats. Those are
Bulgarian. Let's not leave out the King Kong, Bulgarian split squats, lunges. Those are. I'm thinking in terms of the project we're doing.
No,
but you're right, and things like step ups and deep squats.
Yeah, just good old full squats. By the heels,
good old full squats. And if you do that quad blast that we've posted and Krista did on my YouTube channel, that'll fetch you a nice round butt. What else we got, Brian?
Excuse me. Carl wants to know if you can show a flat or incline dumbbell fly. He's not sure about how far out he should keep his lower arms.
Okay, we'll do that in a second. First, we're going to show you another variation. We got 3 supersets we want to show you in this episode, and then we'll make sure that you remind us, Brian. It's just that, before Andy starts laying on the back and getting oil all over my bench, we're going to do our next one is a superset. Whoa, is this one good? So it's orthodox side laterals, all right, with high plane, high range of motion side laterals. So what you'll do is 8 to 10 reps of orthodox normal side laterals, and then you'll pick a lighter weight and you'll do 15 to 20 reps of high plane side laterals, where the start position of the high plane is actually the finish position of the regular orthodox side lateral. So show us how it's done, brother. Right. And what Andy will do is he'll face the front for the normal side lateral, and then he'll just turn around for the upper one. So again, you're going to do it's a superset now. So 8 to 10 here with one weight, but we're not going to switch weights. So you just come up to the normal range and plane of motion, come up to parallel. Nice, he's hanging, he's banging. So when you get to 10, then we'll just turn around on the bench. And then you want to take about 15 seconds after you bang out your orthodox ones. You can even put the weight down for a sec. It's up to you. And then turn it around. I usually do these standing, but Andy's 8 feet tall, so we can't do that. So now he's going to throw them up to the finish position and then start there. Okay, that's your start position. Now go. You're going to come up as high as you can and only down to parallel. All right, and then you try to get them together at the top. Boom. And then down just a little lower. There you go, so that there's tension on the start position. All the way down to parallel to that crucifix position. Just one little lower. Yeah, just there you go. And you're going to do 15 to 20 there. I'm sure you can see everything popping out back there, Brian, yes?
Looking good back here.
All right. Excellent. Good. All right, man, put them down. You do 3 or 4 sets of those, folks. You want to talk about cannonball delts. You ladies, you want to talk about a nice V shape that's nice and feminine, but if you're using the weights, you want to talk about feeling those muscles the next day. Tell them how that feels, brother.
Yeah, you can definitely feel the pump there. Definitely start with a light weight, much lighter than you would use for than you would use for traditional lateral raises. That's deadly. I like that.
Wicked.
Definitely gonna try it in Saturday. Maybe it's a nice little finisher for my delt workout.
For your delt workout. Good before you fly off to Vegas. All right. Any question or comment, Brian? No. All right. We got one more superset for you, and then we're going to we'll do that demo for what was the lad's name? Carl. We'll do that demo for Carl, and then we'll take your questions, of course, as we're going. So the next one is for lats. A lot of people can't feel the lower lats. So we're going to show you a wicked superset. Again, not one you're likely to see anywhere. Let's just get this down, buddy.
I've never seen it.
I think going down to about J, I think. I'll bring that up a bit. No, that's too low. Bring it up to I. There we go, that's even. Yep, all right. And just pull that bench out in front. So this one combines, and you wouldn't believe this, folks, but this one combines this is a lat superset. All right, you want to do 8 to 12 of the first exercise, and then 15 to 20 of the second. So what we're doing is reverse grip, all right, wide push-ups. Trust me, that's a lower lat exercise. Trust me on that. It doesn't sound like it. Everyone thinks a push-up is a push-up is a push-up, all for the chest. Not correct. You do wide grip, reverse grip push-ups with the handles closer to your waist than your shoulder.
Yeah, it changes the plane completely.
And you'll see tomorrow morning, you tell me, do a couple sets that doesn't hit just your lower lats. But we're going to turn it into a monster by doing reverse grip push-ups, supersetted with the cable pullover. You can use a barbell or a bar too, but we're going to do it this way. So show them how it's done, brother.
Right here?
Yeah, right here. Cameraman, you might have to pick the camera up to get the whole shot. But so he's going to get in a push-up position. First he gets the handles where he wants them. All right. Yep. Butt nice high in the air. Good. And all the way down as low as he can go. Bam. You want to do 8 to 10 there. And trust me, tomorrow morning he will feel those in the lower lats, but we're not done yet. Again, see the reverse grip, which means palms face out. Excellent. All right, and now up here. So I'm just going to hand him the bar. Watch his lats. All right, reach back. Boom. Excellent. You can see his lats popping out at the top. And this one would be for like 15 to 20. Excellent. Good work, boss. I got it. Excellent. So that is a superset you likely haven't seen, because I don't think anybody else puts in reverse grip push-ups in their programs like I do for lower lats of all things. So tell them about that superset, brother.
Yeah, you definitely want to make sure the push-up bars are down by your hips. You know, that's not even going to hit your lats if you have them up in a traditional push-up position. So, but yeah, you can feel that pump big time in my lower back already. So after one set,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't think by looking at it that it targets your lower lats that well, but it certainly does. And then obviously pullovers, biggest thing is constant tension, just pumping it, you know, full stretch.
Yeah.
Continuous
tension.
Continuous tension, yeah. I mean, don't turn it into a half tricep extension, half pullover.
Yeah.
It should be, you know, keeping those, especially on the free motion machine too. I mean, that just
does the tension for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's awesome, folks. So that's our 3 supersets for today that we conjured up for you. We didn't just conjure them up. They're very effective, so you can implement them at any time. Keep in mind the rep schemes that we advocated, although they're probably subject to change as well. Watch your step there, Cameron.
I know. Is Bob there?
Yeah, you got a 4-legged creature behind you. So that's our 3 supersets. We're going to show that demo for Carl in a sec, but it sounds like there's some comments or questions. Brian?
Andy, how do you approach the cycle diet when you're traveling? Or do you just take a diet break?
Good question.
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Guest appearance by Bob, folks.
No, I definitely don't take a diet break, especially when I'm going to be doing a photo shoot. I have to stay on diet. So it's, you know what? I get this question a lot. I mean, we live in a world of food abundance. That includes healthy, good foods. It's pretty easy to find diet-friendly meals if you know where to look. Grocery stores are generally the best place to go as soon as you go anywhere. most people make a mistake of trying to, you know, go to a restaurant or something, which, I mean, it can work if you're at a more of a sit-down restaurant. Most restaurants will make anything by request, from my experience anyways, but
we talked about this before. You said back in the day when you and Aaron used to come and visit me, how easy it was. Where did you go?
Well, yeah, Wendy's. Yeah, that's true. The old Wendy's, we get 2 grilled chicken sandwiches. You just throw away the bun. You can eat the lettuce and tomato if you want, and then you order a plain baked potato, Diet Coke. Boom.
Meal.
There's a meal for it.
You can get a healthy meal at Wendy's.
If there's a will, there's a way. I mean, it's a non-issue to me. Like, people freak out about it, but it's like, just.
I think I started that trend. I used to have to meet clients when I lived in Toronto, and I'd want to avoid traffic because they'd be on one side of the city or the other, and it would be like, you never know what you're going to get for traffic. So I would say, well, let's meet at the Wendy's at such and such, and they would be like, really? Like Wendy's? You're going to eat at Wendy's? So yeah, I get a couple plain grilled chicken breasts. I mean, yeah, it's more expensive, but where are you gonna stay on your diet, or you're not gonna stay on your diet?
Absolutely, yeah.
A couple plain grilled chicken breasts and a plain baked potato. Now, if you can get that at Wendy's, then it's not really hard to. And the grocery stores these days. When I travel back east, there's a grocery store I go to. Shout out to Farm Boy. You can go, and not only do they have grilled plain chicken breast meals, they have several different, like with
lemon herb grilled chicken.
Yeah, and just amazing, like, spices, and Mediterranean and Greek, and just, I mean, it's
not what it used to be. I mean, it's
so easy.
It's pretty easy to eat healthy
so
if you
easy.
want to. It's just an excuse, I find, for most people to just.
And we said earlier, one of the other things, right? You put in your check on luggage, 5 or 6 cans of tuna.
Yeah.
Right, with a can opener, throwing a couple bags of rice cakes, throwing some weighed out unsalted roasted nuts.
Yep.
You're halfway there. So if you stay in a good hotel, you ask them for some bowls of fruit, or usually their morning breakfast will have whole fruit.
Yeah, absolutely. Hard-boiled eggs.
Yeah, hard-boiled eggs. You just eat the egg whites. So it's not difficult. A lot of people want to make it difficult,
well,
but
they fall in love with an exact routine, right? And then anytime they get outside that, it's like, whoa, I couldn't weigh my potato, or I couldn't measure my oats exactly, and it's just like,
so it's about adaptability, and you do the best you
real
can.
Life happens. I mean,
and real life does happen. So yeah, I mean, that's it's not that difficult. I mean, you know Trevor, I know Trevor. Here's a guy in several countries in a couple of weeks, and it's never been a problem for him or an excuse for him.
No.
He finds good food even in airports. So it's really a non-issue, really. Healthy whole foods, you use that as your mandate. Take it from there. I mean, Trevor, when he comes to stay with me, the airports, you couldn't get much further away from me than Kelowna Airport. On his way here, stops by a grocery store, gets a full bag of. He stops by. He gets a whole bag of fresh fruits and whatever else, and he gets some prepared salads. And he comes by, and he's half an hour out. Difference.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I find it very easy to eat healthy now. I mean, I notice all the different selections they have at grocery stores now, which is, I mean, it's
and in Vegas, where you're going, I mean, if you can't find good food in Vegas, I mean, holy crap.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So,
and I mean, most buffets too in Vegas now. I mean,
you can eat healthy for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not just an excuse to get your money's worth.
Yeah, I can't follow my diet, so I might as well eat. That doesn't.
No.
And what else, Brian?
Is it possible to get a dense-looking physique without gaining weight, or do you recommend a bulk up first?
Depends on the person.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, depends on the person. Some people for sure need. I had to bulk up. I wouldn't be here right now if I didn't bulk up. So yeah, for sure.
But if you're starting out tall and lanky and skinny, then you should probably bulk up.
Age, I would say, age has something to do with it. Like if you're pushing 50 and you want to put on more muscle, it's like, well, you kind of missed your boat on the bulk up thing. Right?
Nobody over 50 should be trying to bulk up.
No.
So it's just too hard on the body.
Oh, absolutely.
So there are exceptions, and there are some genetic limitations and things like that. And your training, of course, establishing a muscular physique and a thick-looking development, and especially an aesthetic-looking development, that's all about proper programming too. So it's all about the working out. It's not, you can't just show up in the gym, right? So there's too much of that going on, thinking that if you're there, that's good enough.
Little to do with cardio too. Everyone always thinks, I just want to be lean and ripped, and I'm just going to do cardio, and it's just like, well, that's probably the last thing you should be just doing. I mean, if you want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So why don't we show Carl? Are you still with us, Carl? Give us a thumbs up if you're still there. We'll demo that exercise for you. I think he said he wants to see flies, flat and incline. No worries. Is there any way we can move Bob?
Yeah. Here, Bobby.
Sorry, Andy has to bring Bob with him all the time because it's like his MasterCard. He doesn't leave home without it.
Somebody wants to know how he got the name Bob.
I don't know. I thought it suited him. Yeah,
it does suit him, folks. If you know this dog, he's so laid back he should be in a coma. It's just that's one laid back dude.
Yeah.
So he's so laid back. Instead of bow wow, we should be saying oh wow. I mean, yeah, he's just that's about as mild mannered a dog / puppy as you'd ever want to see. I get to babysit him next week.
Yeah.
All right, so show us some flat flies, and then we'll induce the low incline fly as well. Let me just get rid of this. How we doing, Brian? We got people on board?
Yes, very consistent audience.
Okay. So this is for you, Carl. We're just going to do a flat fly and then a low incline fly. They're pretty much the same, except for the angle of contraction, obviously. So Andy's going to show us how to do that. I think one of the mistakes too many people make is they think of it as a legitimate fly, so they're always trying to use their arms are too straight. So what a real fly is what Fred Hatfield used to call a modified fly. So you really want to drop those elbows as low as you can, and then come up as high as you can without touching the weights together. So you're thinking with your elbows, and you're drawing a semicircle. If you can get my fingers there, Brian. This is the motion you want to create. All right. Whereas too many people come way out to the front, puts way enormous pressure on the elbows and the shoulders. You want to think with your elbows, not your hands. All right. Good. That's good. So one of the things there is, if you do it the opposite way, all right. Let me just so I don't brutalize myself.
Just letting you know that Carl is still here and enjoyed that.
All right. So here's the mistake, Carl, that most people make. All right. They're doing a fly and feet up, always for flies. But what they're going to do, instead of thinking with their elbows like Andy was doing, they'll come out like this and think with their arms.
Almost like a machine fly or something.
Yeah, and that is a lot of strain on the medial elbow.
Oh yeah, that's all gravity.
Shoulder. That's how you end up with epicondylitis. So epicondylitis on the medial side, folks, that's known as tennis elbow, and lateral epicondylitis on the lateral side is known as golfer's elbow. So a lot of that comes from training chronically the same way all the time. So you notice how Andy did that with bent elbows. So that's what you want, Carl. Hopefully that'll work for people. Now just go ahead. The only difference with the incline fly, Carl, and everybody else is the angle of contraction changes. Take a hike, Bob. Go on. Go on. All right. So here, all that's happening, again, we use the Abel phrase above the eyes for presses and flies. So as Andy comes up, he's going to make sure that the dumbbells angle toward his eyes. He comes down again. See how he thinks with the elbow? And you want to draw that semicircle right from the bottom. With your elbows, draw a semicircle. Like a bear hug or a tree hug. Excellent. So it's the exact same motion. That's good, bud. It's the exact same motion. The only thing that changes is the angle of contraction. So hopefully that made a lot of sense. That was a good question as well, because it's an exercise that a lot of people, unfortunately, make mistakes doing. So, so be careful where you get your advice. What else, Brian?
Just looking here.
All right, scrolling down the list. You got some hair.
No, I'll take care of that.
What do we got? No comments, no questions?
Well, here's something from Andrea. It's a little bit about Andy and his caloric intake. What is your weekly caloric intake, Andy, as well as your macronutrient breakdown? Does it differ, and has it increased with your increase in size?
Well, we could write a book on that.
Yeah.
absbyandy.com.
Yeah, definitely check out absbyandy.com. I certainly go into all those things. And to answer your question, I have no idea what my caloric
That's our
intake
Abel
is
answer.
through the week, and I have no idea what my macro breakdown is. I mean,
And nor do we care.
yeah, it's we use a bit of a different system that doesn't involve calculations of that kind or obsessing over numbers.
It's a good question, but
no, for sure.
It reflects the nature of the mindset that's out there, the mentality.
Yeah, that's just not fitness to us. I know how much I need to eat during a day. Like I know what a portion is for me, and that's basically all I need to know. So
That's how I work with all my clients,
Yeah.
and that's how Andy started, and now he knows like a certain protein portion size. But the last thing you'll ever see from Scott Abel Fitness or Scott Abel Coaching is a similar Fit Day app. All these people now, they can buy their own apps, their own, as if they made it themselves, where it's just something you can go and order, right? And you can put your name on it, and it'll calculate math for you and stuff. But given how off all those numbers are anyway, by 20 to 40%,
it's
and trust me,
an illusion of control. Like you said.
illusion of control. If Andy had to do that, there's no way he would have looked like this and sustained it for 13, 14 years, because I don't know anyone else who does. I don't know anyone who's constantly cracking numbers for 13 or 14 years. A lot of people will glorify that in the immediate sense of time and be absolutely nauseated by it in the long-term sense of time.
Oh, absolutely.
So we think that the fitness lifestyle should be something that's liberating and freeing, not something that's constraining and confining. So that's to answer that question. It was a great question because it reflects the mindset that's out there, that you can only look like this by crunching a lot of numbers all the time and worrying about it. No, you look like this by letting go of all that crap. And that's hard for people to understand.
Oh, big time.
Or look like this, if you're 56. Go ahead, Brian. That was a joke.
Well, there's a comment about, there's a person here that has lots of questions about coaxing the metabolism, and has heard from an endocrinologist.
Endocrinologist?
I got it.
Okay.
When a person loses weight, they must continue in a calorie-deficient manner to maintain the weight loss.
Relative calorie deficit. That makes sense. But there's a study that was just sent to me by one of our followers, Chad Jackson. I think it's Chad Jackson. And the study is a little too complicated for me to include. I'd like to include it on Breakfast with the Coach or something, but it's some pretty high-end science, and it talks about total energy expenditure, etc., etc. But what it explains, in essence, is the longer you diet, the less energy you start expending. In other words, your body compensates by burning calories at a lower level, even during exercise and while you're resting. So without those refeed spikes, you're not going to coax metabolism. You're going to actually depress it.
Absolutely.
All right. So that's an very important point to ponder. So
That's probably one of the biggest things I notice after a refeed is just general body heat. Like just I sweat taking Bob for a walk sometimes the day after. That's just my body trying to get rid.
Oh, the day after.
The day after a refeed.
Yeah, that's thermogenesis. Thermogenesis is a really important part of weight control because it tells you that you're not artificially lowering your metabolism. So that's very important. Here's the thing. I just got done. I was a guest on someone else's podcast, and they were asking me to explain metabolic optimization and things like that. Here's the thing, folks. Weight lost in a non-optimized metabolic state is weight that will be regained. Mm-hmm. So your first priority in physique transformation or weight loss has to be to optimize metabolism, and you do that by feeding a metabolism, not by starving it. And people don't know the difference. Well, how do I starve off fat to feed a metabolism?
Yeah, they're trying to live off bok choy and water chestnuts and all that kind of stuff, right?
They think they can trick their bodies. Yeah. Well, the body's never tricked. The body just constantly compensates and adopts. So whatever you're doing, the body is smarter than you. So keep that in mind.
For survival, not.
But you have to optimize metabolism. Leaning out only takes place Sustainable leaning out only takes place in an optimized metabolic environment. So if you're dieting in a way that's not sustainable, then neither is your weight loss, and that's not a good thing.
Ivan's been spending some time in the gym and notices that people are always doing wrong bend over barbell row and a one-arm dumbbell row. Maybe Andy can demonstrate the proper technique.
Sure. Want to use the dumbbells or the bar? Yeah.
Yeah, we can use the body bar, I guess.
Yeah. All right. We can. Well, use both.
Yeah. There's a couple different ways you can do dumbbell rows, anyways.
Well, let's do the 2-arm. Just and use it like
Oh,
a
okay.
barbell. Yeah.
Right.
All right, just hanging and banging right there. So we talk about this a lot. So you want to make sure what you'll see here. Go ahead. You make sure that that weight stays right at his feet. Doesn't come out in front because that'll put way too much strain on the spine, the lower back, lumbar. But notice how you got that flat back. You could put a plate across his back. Boom. Good. So you would do the exact same form with a barbell. Exactly the same. Now, you wanted to show a one-arm variation, did you?
I think that's what the question was.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll move the bench back. That's easier for Brian, so go ahead.
Yeah, there's a couple different ways you can do it.
You want to go flat?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
You can do. You can reach under the bench. Always support yourself by putting your opposite arm on the bench and take a staggered stance. But you can kind of reach under it, and then again, you're always trying to lean into it, never away from it.
And row it, don't throw it.
Yeah. Yeah, you see, this is definitely another ego exercise. You see guys taking the 140s or the 150 pound dumbbells out, and they're just, it's not much of a row, right? So you can also put one knee up on the bench, also your opposite arm as well for support. And again, with this one, I definitely like to kind of do a small reach under the bench as well. So,
and again, just a flat back, right?
And lean into it. You get that extra stretch when you kind of go under the bench slightly.
Okay. Leave that there. Get up. Now I think here's where this.
It's Ian.
Oh, Ian. So wait a minute. Wait a
okay.
minute. Here's the mistake you'll see most people make, and I think you're referring to, Ian, is this kind of thing. All right? They're not reaching. They're not doing anything, right? You saw Andy with the flat back. Boom. Boom. And you'll see most people in the gym like this. Well, why are you even kneeling? You're not reaching. You can do that standing up. All right? So they're not bent enough. All right? They're too vertical. And trust me, a one-arm row or a two-arm row, if you don't come out of that in an oxygen debt, there's something wrong. So the other mistake, and we don't like demoing mistakes, all right, because it locks into people's head. But you'll see bent rows, all right, you'll see them done like this, all right, or T-bar rows done like that. See, they're barely bent. Okay, that offers nothing but pulling with the arms. You'll see Andy had the weight right over. Boom. All right, you get this from people in the gym with their personal trainers and stuff.
That's just a leverage position.
It's just a leverage position. Same thing with T-bar rows. So those are the mistakes that you'll tend to see in the gym because people can lift heavier, use momentum, and they still don't come out of it with much of an oxygen debt. You can tell you're doing full range of motion lat work because you'll be feeling it after. Let me show you one more variation for the people out there my age. Now, I had 2 discs removed from my back in 2000, the 2 lower discs, and now I have to adjust. I have to compensate. That doesn't mean I can't do these exercises anymore. It means I have to do them a specific way. So again, that requires a knowledge of biomechanics and exercise physiology. So what am I talking about? Well, for me, I can re-injure my back real easy. So I can either avoid all those exercises and keep my back weak for the rest of my life, which would produce an imbalance, which would likely lead to re-injuring it, or I can find ways to adopt. So for me, the one-arm row is as simple as a better base of support. So I still have my hand here, but instead of one leg up, I have both legs down. And I do my one-arm rows this way. All right? So I have a wider and more functional, more supportive base of support, which protects my lower lumbar, still engages my lats. So that's a lot of learning in a short time. So good question by Ian. It was Ian, right?
Actually,
it was Ian. It was Ian.
I was incorrect, yes.
All right. Well, you're fired.
The pay's lousy anyway.
There's definitely always tweaks you can do, for sure. I mean,
Tweaking. Yep.
The same principles apply. You're rowing it. You're not throwing it. I mean, you're thinking that you're not, just.
Yep. And I'm protecting an injured area.
So a dumbbell around. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, there's ways around, and that's what we call in able body parlance. We call that tweakology. So.
Speaking of tweaks, this is Ian. He has a long-term injury to his right frontal delt that limits his range of motion when doing flat dumbbell press. Is there a tweak that he can do to make this exercise viable?
Geez, it's hard to say. Not if it's a torn muscle or if it's nerve damage, then you're not likely to be able to do that. As much as we just said, don't do straight arm flies, one of the things that might help there is actually cable straight arm flies, which changes the effects on the joints because the tension tends to be on the muscle. I will have to show that next time because we're running out of time. Or an even seated fly machine, because you want to have something that contributes to building that area without targeting the joint around the area. So it gets strength by association, we call it. And then meantime, just do those exercises for the range and plane of motion that your limitation will allow you, right? So a lot of the times with my osteoarthritis, I first started demoing exercises and posting them, and people would be like, well, that's not a full range of motion. And I couldn't explain it to people like, well, that's a full range of motion for someone with bony changes from osteoarthritis. That's as low as I can go. So that's when we started having you do it. So you take the range of plane of motion that your body offers you. And remember, pain is also biofeedback and communication, and it's essential communication. But next episode, we'll do some, I'll be by myself. Next time, we'll do some straight arm flies as well. So.
And a dumbbell press in general, like a dumbbell flat press in general, isn't one you want to bring all the way down to your chest anyways. I mean, you should just
leave a little room.
Bring it down till you can feel that stretch, and then push it back up till the dumbbells come close together. It's not like a barbell press where you want to bring it all the way down. So.
You might have got injured from an extreme range of motion.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of people get injured as well. So, good question. Yeah.
Here's something from Carl. Is the Hard Gainer Solution course ready soon? He's getting impatient and has read the book and loves the workouts.
Yeah, well, that's why we did the course. We got a lot of that kind of feedback. Like, why isn't this a course?
Exercises, so.
Yes, now here's a little insider info for those of you who are still hanging around. We finished shooting all the exercise demos, and Dr. Mike wrote to inform us there's 123 exercises that'll be part of the Hard Gainer Solution. Does that answer the question? No, I'm kind of skirting the question. The question was, when will it be ready? Well, that's in Mike's hands. So next up on our product list is the women's body weight glute training at home circuits. That's coming, and then the Hard Gainer is right behind that. And then after that is the Busy Woman's Tighten and Tone, Shaped and Sculpt, Train at Home, 16 circuits to do. So we're finishing that as well. So we've been shooting a lot of videos for a long time. So
we have been pretty busy every week.
We've been pretty busy since the winter. So now that it's summer, we're tying up loose ends. So yeah, Carl, just be patient. Hopefully we have him ready before the end of the summer, but that's a lot of stuff to edit for Mike. And then, of course, he's got to get it all ready for sales pages and, the website and everything else. But the shooting of the actual exercise clips is done. There's a couple actual me doing a whole workout in the Hard Gainer. Trevor Timmons from the Montreal Canadiens stopped by, did a workout. I think we'll have you do a couple series as well. So it's 90% ready, but there's just a couple things in front of it. And yeah, so it'll be available soon. So hopefully you'll hang in there long enough, Carl, because yeah, that's why we did it, to bring it to all you guys. So thumbs up if you'll wait for that with patience, Carl. But we're getting it to you. There's only so much we can do in a week. So, but we're done the bulk of it for sure. So, anything else, Brian?
Yeah, Lydia has a question. For women 40 and over who need to lose at least 25 plus pounds, would you recommend both cardio and weight training? Let's assume that she'll also be getting her diet in check during this process.
Then I would probably say weight training will be enough if the diet is actually in check. That's a pretty big question mark for consistency, that is. If diet is in check, then I would say the right weight training program should be enough, and then at the very end, add cardio.
Yeah,
because
you'll lose that metabolic optimization if you throw it in the whole time. It's not going to work for very long. So.
Cardio has a limited window of effects. It's only going to work for a few weeks, and then you have to go longer and longer, more and more often to get the same effects, which is the law of diminishing returns, we call it. So I would say hold off the cardio till the very end when you need the last few pounds or whatever, and then, you know, a smart trainer or coach will put it in then, not at the beginning. All right, use a good diet and good resistance training to optimize metabolism up front, and then insert cardio at the end as added volume, just to get, because you'll get the bounce then. Doing it up front, like Andy says, then you've sort of wasted the effects that it offers at a time when you don't need it. So hopefully that makes sense, Lydia. All right, folks, so that's another session, I think, of the Coach and Andy show. So we did exercise demos. We talked about nutrition, biochemistry 101, exogenous ketones again, which I'm not going to even put in the title when I post this to YouTube. I don't want to give it any more attention than it deserves. So hopefully you all enjoyed that. If so, please tell people, share it, stay tuned, come in tune every week. And yeah, we'll be back next week. I think it'll just be me. So Andy's away. Andy's off to Vegas for a photo shoot. Hopefully we'll see some of the benefits of that at another time. But yeah, if you like the show, you know, throw us some thumbs up and some hearts and all that stuff that Facebook algorithms respond to, because it helps us get the word out there. So I'll see you at Sunday Breakfast with the Coach. Andy will see you in a couple of weeks. And yeah, so in the immortal words of another bodybuilder, we'll be back.